Hey everybody, I'm Monty Mont.
And I'm Tiff.
And these
are a few
of our favorite
scenes.
Yo, you ready for Mom, Tiff? Let's go!
Never kept up with the latest. Never tried to be the greatest. But let's be honest, yes, we want this. Oh.
See, the thing is, when I close my fist, you did.
I know, but I felt.
It's a choir director.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. I had a takeover spirit.
Which is appropriate for what we about to talk about.
I figured.
Okay, so, hey guys, we are part of the Mighty Sharp Network, and this is our favorite Sings podcast. I'm Monty Mont. Tiff, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Now, of course, through editing magic, we watched the Temptations movie.
Yes, we did.
We're doing one of our favorite movie scenes. Of course, we're taping this after we watched it, but things happen. Whatever, a little snafu. So we're here now to talk about it. It is a legendary movie.
Yes.
We're going to get all into it, of course. Five Heartbeats fans, don't worry, we got
Absolutely.
y'all as well. Don't worry, relax.
We heard every last one of you.
Relax,
yes.
relax. But we have to get into this movie. This is the Temptations. First of all, were one of the seminal groups back in Motown. Back when we had real group singers. You know what I mean? I mean, we don't really have a lot of.
No.
And
no.
the thing is, they kind of got in the '90s turned into boy bands, if you will.
Right.
But even that, we don't really have any.
Not really. Who right
I'm
now?
blank. I'm really. I'm trying to think right now.
I'm trying to think of one right now, and I can't.
Like,
I mean, we can always go back. Not like a new one.
Yeah.
But of course.
But see, so you had the Temptations.
Right.
You had the Four Tops back then. All these groups, which then spawned off groups like New Edition.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember this group called The Boys.
Oh, absolutely.
The Boys was big back then when I was a kid. ABC.
Yeah.
Bell Biv DeVoe.
Yeah.
Boys and Men, which then morphed into your Backstreet Boys, your NSYNC,
Absolutely.
all that.
It was a thing.
Yes, it really was a thing.
Boy
and
bands
so
is not a thing.
now it's just But so the Temptations were huge. They were huge.
Yes.
So we of course were not alive when they were big, but that's how big they were that we know about them. So we watched.
And if you don't know about them, you should definitely check them out.
You should.
After this show.
Now I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
If you want to watch this, it's a little difficult because it's not like on Netflix. It's not on Hulu. You gotta really, first of all, I'm on real on them right now. I'm gonna get it out.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, BT.
Oh man.
Do better because listen, man. First of all, I found it on some other little fledgling app, but they had ads, and I'm like, man, I ain't trying to watch no ads. So BT has BET Plus, which is a paid thing, but I just signed up for the free. You do like free 7 days, but then you start paying, and then so I know that trick. As soon as I sign up, I unsign up, but then what happens is Apple, you get to keep that first 7 days. Okay. So we switched over to that, but still was a little janky.
Glitching. Yeah, it was glitching.
A little janky, and come on, BT, y'all can't be trying to have people pay for stuff, and then there's jankinization.
Well, I will say this: I'm not telling nobody to, but some people out there have Fire Sticks, and you possibly can find it on Fire Sticks.
No, and that's another thing. Yeah. The first thing I did was I went to my bootlegs.
Yeah.
And
you got bootlegs?
What do you think the Fire Stick is?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a whole world of.
That's okay. We'll talk about that later.
Shout out Cody. What's up? Anyway, but it was kind of hard to find, so we went to there. But we got through it, and it was great. And this is actually it is long. This is like a kind of a mini series type deal. So this was about 2 hours. It's almost 3 hours.
Well, yeah, when it first premiered, it was like days.
Yeah, it was like almost a week of this. You know what I mean? And so it's a long watch, but it's very thorough. So they're going through the whole thing. So very quickly, the Temptations, the original group, and there's some permutations. My man got thrown out from the beginning, but We're talking, there's Melvin Franklin, there's Eddie Kendricks, there's Otis Wilson,
Yes.
Paul Williams, and of course, the late great David Ruffin. That is the original 5 there, and then there's a lot of things, permutations we're going to get into with that. So,
Yes.
it starts out with the key cog of the Temptations, Otis, and his quest to, I hope we get the camera right there on that face, because there's a lot of, anyway, Otis in search of a group and blah, 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 and him and Melvin, who is Blue, that is his nickname, him and Melvin get together, and then a couple of guys, and they are really searching to try to...
and at this time, they're Otis in the distance.
Very good,
Yes.
very good, because, and here's what you got to understand, young people, back then, it was a lot of guys just on the corners be singing.
Yeah.
You know, wasn't no internet, wasn't no, iPhones and stuff.
No.
What you did with your spare time, if you could sing, you would literally be after school.
Do wop wopping.
Hoo-de-doo-doo, scoo-de-boo.
Yes.
You know, that's what they
Yes.
did. And there was different groups, and
Yeah.
everybody was trying to get on. And so, yeah.
And they didn't text the girls. They was following behind them singing.
Let me
and
ask you,
stuff.
so let's get right into it.
Okay.
How would you feel if a man and his 4 friends, as you was walking home from school, followed you while singing? Because that's the first thing I wanted to ask you.
I want somebody to do that to me right now.
Okay.
I would absolutely love it, okay, if somebody followed me with their homies and was singing to me right now.
Okay.
I thought that was amazing.
All right,
I
well
loved
then,
it.
good. We had, see, that's why we have a woman's perspective, because
Yeah.
I didn't know if, I was like, boy, that's...
That was like game in the day.
Hey, I guess it was.
Yeah.
I guess it was.
Yeah.
And it worked, so
Yes.
this is how Otis got his girl.
Yes.
But and so the movie goes on, and they start out, and this happens with a lot of bands. They start out with a group,
Yes.
but it's not the original group, and they learn the business real fast because they get a little manager. She's talking about,
She
well,
janky.
I'm trying to get y'all out there, and then she comes up to him. What is it about the music business and trying to give these people cars all the time?
I don't know. That was the thing though in this time. Like
Yes.
Cadillacs, everybody wanted a Cadillac. You got an album, you got a Cadillac. And let's not forget this is set in Detroit.
Oh yes.
Yes, this is set in Detroit where Motown originated.
Yes,
and
the heart of Motown.
Yes, the heart
And
of Motown.
When we do that TLC movie, man, I can't wait.
Oh my gosh.
They just love to pay these artists in cars. She shows up with a car to get their name on it and
Yes.
stuff, and the guys are like, okay, but what about the money too? And then she, But now the thing is, she janky, but she's not wrong. Here's what the music business is. You see these people singing and all that, and oh man, they naming lights, but all that advertising and that promo, the
It costs
record label,
money.
they're not just giving them that money.
No.
So when you sign on that dotted line, you have to pay back all of that first before you really see anything. So that's what she was telling them. She said, listen, this little cabbage roll I got here, I got to pay the promoters, I got to pay
Palms
the
gotta be
DJs,
greased.
Paul's got to be greased.
Yes.
And they kind of understand it. Some guys got discouraged, whatever.
And during that time, you got to remember too, it was like, you go in and you have to pay the DJ to spin your record.
Yes.
And then that's going to cost some money to spin
Yes.
your record. And that's how you were known. Like you wanted to hear your song on the radio.
I mean, radio was everything back
Yes.
then. I know it seems weird now in this
Yes.
day and age, but radio was, to have your song on, it's still radio station now, and it's
Yeah.
still nice, but now, you can just put your stuff on YouTube for free.
Yes.
But back then, that was everything. So the guys were struggling, and they were, some guys fell off. So, Otis and Blue, they stayed together, and they were like, man, we got to get some guys. So there was a rival group that Eddie and Paul were in.
Right. So now what they remember when they were Otis in the Distance, they went to they had a
that's
show.
Right.
They had a show. And in this show, they meet for the first time Eddie, Kendricks, and Paul.
Right.
Right? And at this time, they're known as the Primes
Break it down.
and the Primettes.
Break it on down.
Okay? So now Otis in the Distance, which includes Otis Williams
Yeah.
and Melvin,
You can just-
a.k.a.
okay.
Blue.
Okay.
They are now at this show.
Which was also big.
Which was a big deal
Showcase was
because
big.
in this show, in walks Berry Gordy
Yes.
and Smokey Robinson.
There you go.
Right? So at this time, they're a big deal. They're just now getting started with Motown. And I want to say if I'm not mistaken, the very first person to really blow Motown out was Mary Wells.
Yes.
Okay.
I was about to say, and you said the Primettes.
Yes.
And go ahead and
Okay.
get to make
So
sure.
now at this time they meet the Primes, which is Eddie and Paul, and the Primettes. The Primettes is who we know now, who we will know as the Supremes.
Yes.
Diana Ross and the Supremes. And
See-
Eddie and Diana had a thing going on.
And you know what I love though? I love that there's a segment in the movie of the guys just trying to find a name.
Yes.
Because back then, you know, the somethings, you
Yes.
know. And back then, you know, there's the coasters, the Dells, you know,
Yes.
and so you had to have. I love that little segment
Yes.
because your name was huge too, and they kept trying to be some watch name or something.
The
you know.
Elgins.
The Elgins.
Yeah.
And I guess back then Elgin was a watch, so
More like the Timex.
we made it akin to Timexes or the Rolexes,
Yeah.
some ridiculous name.
Yeah.
And so they get together, and at some point they're going to Motown, and they run into David Ruffin and his guy. And you know what I loved about this movie too? You saw so many actors that were acting in this movie.
Oh,
You're like, wait a
my
minute, that's my man from you know, because this was in '98,
Yes.
so this came out in '98. But let's talk
But
real
they got
quick.
the card though. Remember,
They got
they
that
got
card
the
from
card
Barry
at
Gordy.
the show. Yeah.
The corner Barry Gordy got that card.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's funny because if you ever hear the story of like Boys to Men, they ran
Yeah.
into Michael Bivins
Yes.
and they you know, listen to us real quick. That's kind of stuff people get discovered. Now they get discovered
Yeah.
on YouTube.
But now at this show, remember they had now the beef was established because they
Yes.
kind of got into
They
a
didn't
little
really get
tiff,
into
right?
it. So that's why, wasn't it, Melvin wasn't feeling Eddie and...
Yeah, no. So
Right.
Otis, they got into it. Otis.
No, Otis wasn't feeling it.
Otis
'cause
was
Melvin
not
wanted to-
feeling. Yeah. Melvin was always kind of cool, but
Right.
Otis was not feeling Eddie and Paul.
Eddie and Paul.
Yeah, so they had a little beef at the show, right? But now they got the card for Barry Gordy. However, the group got dismantled that night.
Right.
So now they didn't have a group now.
So that's why.
Yeah.
So it was just Melvin and it was just Otis, and so
Yeah.
that's why Mel was like, "Listen, we got to get some more guys because we got his card." So they convince, you know, Paul and Eddie to come in, and so then they go to Motown, and when they go to Motown, they run into you know, David. David's kind of on his way out. He's like, "Yeah, I'm doing my thing and all of that."
And that was his brother, actually.
And that was his brother.
Yes.
And they're working, they're singing songs, and they like him.
Yes.
They like them. They don't really have a hit song yet, but
Yes.
they like them. Let's speed up to
Yes.
where they come in with David.
Yes.
Because that's at another show.
Yes. That's actually New Year's Eve.
Was that New Year's?
That was
Okay.
New
Yeah,
Year's
you're
Eve.
right. You're
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
And,
A little bit softer now. Remember
and
they
they
were
sing Shout.
Yeah.
They sing, which is a huge song.
Yeah.
And and it was kind of this real chemistry
Yes.
and stuff. So eventually, I'm speeding up because I want to talk about something. So eventually, David comes into the group. Like,
Yes.
okay, so here's what I want to talk about. Here's your group dynamic. You have, so Blue Melvin is your bass guy.
Yes.
You got a bass guy, because again, these groups, you know, you had to have a bass guy, you know,
Yeah.
because it was a lot of acapella stuff. Then you have, you know, Eddie. Eddie Kendricks was your high guy, your high
Falsetto
man,
off the chain.
falsetto. Any
Yes.
of those Temptation songs, when you hear that, that's Eddie, right?
Yes.
I mean, this group is really well put together when you think about the voices. Okay, then you have kind of your backbone guy with your, really, Paul and Otis had really strong just
Yes.
for when, now Paul can lead, which we'll
Yeah.
get to, but your background guys are probably saying your,
And Paul could also dance. He's the one that introduced them into
and I'm
dancing.
about to get to that
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
And then David was a great singer, but he also had that lead.
Yes.
David Ruffin had that lead singer thing. Now they all couldn't kind of lead, but David really had that lead singer style. Now, back then as well, which they did, you know. Now, I want to say really, pretty much, I don't know any group that didn't dance back then. They all,
No.
some of them were kind of, but to get noticed, they had to dance.
Yeah, they definitely had
So
to dance.
you said Paul, right?
Yes.
Brought in the dance part because,
Yes.
and who was the oldest kind of not feeling it?
No, because they were like standing and just kind of snapping at
Right.
first, right? And so Paul's like, "Listen, we can't just stand here and snap. We gotta move.
We gotta move.
We gotta move."
We gotta move.
So I got something to ask you, Monty, because you just kind of ran down what everybody did, you know, the voices and everything. But I didn't hear you say anything about Otis. What was his? Well, you know, what voice did he?
Let's
have?
get to it now, so it's
Okay.
not weird for the viewers and listeners.
Okay.
There's a huge beef that I feel Otis was extremely influential in the formation and the sustaining of the Temptations. somebody else feels like Otis was hating, was not letting people be themselves, and just wanted everything to be run amok. And was hating on Otis the whole time.
I wouldn't say run amok.
Really?
He had no grace and he had no mercy when it came down to certain people. And
certain people own drugs. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and that may be true. Okay, but we'll get there. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the pushback. Somebody feel again. Otis was not like a lead singer guy. He was not. He was a blender. He was just. But you need somebody with vision.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
That's what he brought to it. Okay. So
fair enough.
So now they got them. They got the guys together, but it still don't got a hit yet.
No.
You gotta have a hit. And I'm gonna tell you what I love. So Smokey Robinson at that point is working with them, and Berry Gordy's in there, and then Smokey's they're writing songs for him. And I love, this has always stayed with me. Smokey would ask the group of people, they would sing a song, and Smokey would be like, now, if you was down to your last dollar and you was hungry, would you buy this song or buy a sandwich?
Yeah.
And that was like the test.
Yeah.
And I love that so much. I still think about that now. Like it's like you like this song, but if you really had to buy this song or buy something to eat, would you buy the song?
Right.
That's a great indicator.
It is.
So what was their first hit they got on with?
So if I'm not mistaken, and let's just so now this is the 5, right?
Yeah, we got the 5.
So let's make sure we got the 5. Right. So we have Otis Williams.
Yes.
We have Melvin.
Yes.
We have
Paul.
AKA Blue. We have Paul. We have Eddie, and we have David.
Right.
This is the Temptations.
Yes.
Right. So now they're, like you said, they were making music, but they did not have hits. Smokey wrote, was it My Girl?
I'm gonna make sure. Let me look at it right now. I think it was My Girl. Temptations' first hit was they're saying The Way You Do the Things You Do. Is that right?
Okay.
You gotta smile.
Alright. Okay, that one was good too, but I want to say I think that one charted, but I want to say My Girl was the very first one to go number 1.
Oh, I'm sure My Girl went.
Yeah.
Okay, so here it was. January of '64, they did The Way You Do the Things You Do.
Okay.
And then My Girl was later in the fall of 1964 when they did My Girl. So really, technically, The Way You Do the Things You Do was their first, and they call it the Classic 5 era.
Okay.
Otis, Melvin, Paul, Eddie, and David. And so first of all, shout out to Smokey Robinson was writing hits at the hits. But then My Girl was the so that was their number 1 hit, and
that's
was
the
biggest,
one, yes.
that was number 1.
So that's the one that put him on number 1. Okay.
And that bass line, and then
man,
come on now,
yeah.
And so the group is off. They're off and running, and they show how back then they would all pile on the bus. Everybody.
So now at this point, now they're separated now. So now they're the Temptations. Now they actually got, what is it, Martha and the Vandellas.
It would be the Motown Review.
Yeah, and, everybody's on this bus now.
Yeah, everybody in there. You guys are touring and they're enjoying it. But they kind of talk about how life on the road and there's some things that can distract you. And they make an emphasis to show a part of Paul Williams where he's turning down liquor.
Yeah, he did not drink at all.
And he was like, Paul don't drink.
Yeah.
And of course, David living that life.
He always lived by that life.
David gonna do what he gonna do.
Yeah.
Blue is pretty straight laced. Now Otis did have his shortcomings. A little carousing on old Otis' part. You don't have to cock your head.
I'm merely listening. Is all I'm doing.
Okay.
Everyone has their issues.
Otis has some issues.
Okay.
But he's still trying to power on with the group.
Okay.
And so these guys, so you kind of see where they're living their dream. I mean, this is bringing. At one point, I love there's a scene where everybody got new cars.
Yes, because now you got fame now.
Yes, you got fame.
You have notoriety, you have money. You're on the road, and even today, this thing happens, right? So there's a lot of temptation, I think, that comes along with
Now, I do want to hit one thing.
Okay.
And there's one part that I love in this, which is Blue's mother.
Yes.
Blue's mother is played by the mother of all mothers in all black movies.
Yes. She everybody.
That is the great Jennifer Lewis.
Yes.
And, you know, boys, y'all better come in here. And, you know what I mean? You can hear her voice right now. And
I love Jennifer Lewis.
Jennifer Lewis is so great. She's
Yes.
she's in this through the whole thing. And she's kind of just the fabric that, you know, and I mean, Otis's mother
Yes.
plays a part in this as well. But,
Yes.
you know, you just
She
know
was
that.
very supportive.
Very
because
much.
remember, Otis's father in the
Right.
beginning was not even about any of that. He wanted Otis to go work at a factory and leave it alone, and that was the end of that. But their
Yeah.
moms were very supportive.
Let me hit on that very
Yeah.
quickly because, again, this is the 60s. This is a time where you could really graduate high school, walk right into a factory job, and
Yeah.
support your family.
Yes.
And I know, you know, I mean, I'm from Michigan, so the Detroit, the Lansings, all that, Flint, guys you didn't have to go to college. You
Yeah.
could support 2-3 kids, a home, all that. And so his stepfather was like, why are you trying to do this
Yeah, like,
stupid
what is
singing
this
thing?
about? Yeah.
He said, I talked to a guy, you can walk right into the plant.
Got your job.
And that's what people did. Now, those days are over now. You don't have those days. But to follow their dream of singing was very precarious. You know what I mean? To even do all that. So the movie goes on, and they're doing their thing. There is, though, a little friction that starts to come in because, guys, you know, David starts drinking and using some drugs and things. And, you know, Otis is very much by the book. Like, you know, we gotta make this schedule, make this blah, 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 you know, and these, you know, especially like there's a dynamic where David wants to do his thing. There is kind of a clique with Eddie and Paul, because Eddie and Paul were in a different group. They're very close.
Yes.
You know, Corn, they call them Corn and Paul. They're very close.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the dynamic of the group is it's Blue and Otis.
Yes.
It's their little thing, Eddie and Paul's little thing, and then David is just kind of
Yes. On his own, right? Yeah.
And friction starts to come in.
Yes.
Because David starts kind of drifting.
He did.
And he starts kind of getting to the point where he's not reliable. And, you know, people, and then they get a manager as well. They get a manager, Shelly, and they're like, people are paying to see all the Temptations, and David's kind of getting the lead singer syndrome.
Yeah, he had that Bobby Brown in him.
He had
He had some of that Bobby Brown.
you know what's crazy? We call him Bobby Brown. We should call it David Ruffin because David Ruffin came first.
Exactly,
you know, but,
it's the truth. But you know, for those of you that are familiar with Bobby Brown, he had a little Bobby Brown in him.
Hello Bob in him.
Yeah.
Hello Bob in him.
So he was definitely. I'll give you that. He was missing shows. He was also. There was rumors of him. You know, dating Tammy Terrell and
Yes.
being physically abusive to her.
He was
and,
wilding.
yeah, he was, you know, drugs was going on, and main thing, he was just missing several shows.
Which-
like in rehearsals, and just was doing no call, no shows all
It
over.
started to get bad.
Yeah.
So then we're gonna try to totally recap it in this first part of our
Yes.
show. So there's a classic scene where the guys are like, David's gotta go.
Yes.
And of course we get to the point where it's where there's the one confrontation where which came first, where they were at the window or where he was sitting with Blue and
When he was sitting with Blue and
Blue
Otis.
and Otis, right.
That
That's the
one
first
came first, right? Because there's warning before destruction, right?
he was trying to tell
So
him.
they actually go to confront Otis. I mean,
Yes.
Otis and Blue to go confront David about his mishaps. Like,
Yes.
you have been missing
Bro.
shows, bro.
It's too much.
You're doing the most. Like, you over here doing these drugs
Yeah.
and you're tripping. You got to get it together.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you don't get it together, you're out the group.
You out the group.
So then,
And there's
David,
the-
in true David form, he tells them, you know what I've been thinking.
Oh man.
Because first of all, let's just if we can be honest, Monty, he made a very profound statement that day,
Yes, he did.
and he said, "Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis."
Nobody.
And the truth is, nobody was coming to see Otis.
Okay, that is not.
If we're honest,
Let's put it in context. Here's what Otis said. Otis said, here's Otis's line. They're
there's no
they're
one.
coming to see the Temptations.
Yeah.
And then he was like, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
And it's the truth.
And it's not the truth. The Temptations were a group. Now here's what David was saying.
Yeah.
Because at some point, you know, it used to be the Miracles. And then it
Yes.
became Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Yes.
You know, where lead singer started and Otis wanted that. David wanted that, and so he was like, "Man, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. They coming to see me. I'm the lead singer." Now he wasn't even the lead singer for all of the.
No.
You know, that was the thing about the Temptations. It wasn't like Gladys Knight and the Pips, where you didn't know the Pips.
Right.
It wasn't like Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, you know, or Lionel Richie and the Commodores. You know, again, like I said, you know, Korn, he sang a lot of lead stuff. Paul sang a lot of lead stuff, but David was trying to be the head. So then they just were like, we got to be done with them. So they're all at Motown. They're all at Motown. And Shelly's outside, their manager, and so David comes up, and Shelly is like, David, he holds in his papers. He's like, you're out of the group. And all the guys are standing in front of the glass inside the Motown building. David Ruffin is outside of the Motown building. He walks up to the glass. Y'all think y'all can do this to me? Who do y'all think y'all is? You know what I'm saying? And he's just like going off on him.
Yeah.
He's so mad, and the guy, but I love the camera work on this, because he's like, you know, I'm David Ruffin, you know what I'm saying? I don't need y'all. Y'all gonna need me and stuff. But then he kind of turns, and he kind of turns, and the camera catches, and he's looking like, what I'm gonna do? Because now, yeah.
Okay, so now here's the problem that I have.
Lord,
okay.
Jesus,
so now, at some point, I think that things could have been handled differently, okay? So instead of you did you warned him, okay? And I would imagine there were some things that happened after that. But to stand behind the glass and to have Shelly, the manager, who came in much later, they've gone through so much together, to go hand him a letter to tell him that he is no longer a part of the group was so weak to me. And
Shelly's job, he managed him.
But they were also friends. They had been through a lot together.
Yes.
So to do that to me was so whack. And at that moment, because I know it was Otis's idea.
You see, no. They all voted. They all probably had to
They voted that he was out of the group.
Right.
Mind you, I feel like Blue was pumped into making his vote.
Okay, Blue wasn't. He was more of a pacifist.
Yes,
he
was really passive.
Listen, David, you messing up the paper, baby. We got to.
And this is true. So putting him out the group, I'll give you that. Maybe he deserved it. However, the way that they went about it, I just don't agree with that.
They probably shouldn't have done it that way. They probably shouldn't have done it that way. We don't know if that was Otis.
I believe it.
Shelly probably told them guys, I'll handle it. Okay. And then Otis, you know.
What was they sitting at the window for looking?
Well, what else we gonna do? All right. All right. I'll give you that.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to stop it right here. We're going to finish up a recap. We got to get to our best performances. We're going to get to our best songs we love from the Temptations. We got a lot more coming. Pick back up with us, guys. All right. We will get with this part 2. We're going to get through this psychological block Tiff has against Otis Williams, which is totally ridiculous. We're going to get to all of that. Stay with us, okay? We will talk to you next week.
# Team David Ruffin.